I became a Christian through quite a journey, really. I had a few friends who were Christians, and yeah, we used to take the mick quite a bit. It was, I don't know, it was kind of like an ongoing joke, like, oh yeah, Bible bash, this, that and the other. Being a young person in a Christian community these days, I think a lot of people perceive it as something completely different to what it actually is. So people take it as like, oh yeah, don't go drinking, don't go partying, don't do this, and a load of don'ts. But it's mainly do's, to be honest. Obviously not the stupid things like going out taking drugs and doing bits like that. But you can go out for a drink, obviously not to excess, because I think it's just stupid, to be honest. You just end up in a pile of puke on the floor at the end of the day. And you can still go out to parties with like gatherings of Christians, and like there's a really great event as well called Momentum, and it's also Survivor for the younger ones, where you can go and it's just basically a massive tent, loads of little tents, and you stay in, and then the massive tent itself is where you go for like the main worship, and it's not kind of like worship as in like, you know, everyone on their knees praying and bits like that. There's more soul to it as such. So there's more of a music vibe to it. There's a skateboard park even, so you can go for a skate, which I think is fantastic. That they're introducing people's hobbies into it as well, and you can listen to the modern day music of it. So it really appeals to the younger youth, and it really helps you get into it a lot more, and also just to worship God in a different way. Obviously, I think there's a lot more ways to worship God than just music as well, through our lifestyles. And that's what it is, being a young Christian. You worship God through your lifestyle. And you worship, like, you perceive who God is through you to the younger generation, but it doesn't necessarily mean not doing things. Like I said, it's more do. So, like, the thing is, like God says, he says, lower yourself to the position of others. Don't think of yourself more highly. And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to go to these places, you need to experience these things, but you need to have God on your mind the whole time. And then you can actually speak to people about it, and you witness more in these places than you do just living in your little social bubble of church. And going out as a young person really influences more young people as well, because the fact that, like, if you're a friend and they see you doing all these good things, like awesome things, like if you go for a skate, or you have an influence on someone, even if they are younger than you or your own age, you are influencing someone by your lifestyle. Skating's gone hand in hand, I guess, since I've been about 12. I always remember skateboarding, going down to the local skate park, skating with my friends and just really enjoying it and loving life. We always used to skate with the older ones and watch their tricks, and these guys used to just do these flip tricks, and it was just insane to watch. You start trying them yourself, and start progressing. And I always remember catching this train, Cardiff to Newport. We used to skate straight through the city, and we used to stop off Newport Skate Extreme and go skate inside for hours on end. And that'd be our day, and we'd come back and we were happy, we were stoked off our minds. Skating's just changed my life forever. It just keeps me going. I mean, like, I've gone off sort of like main skateboarding and I longboard a lot more now.
I think that's just due to being adventurous within the skate scene and just going out and just trying surfing as well, and it ties in perfectly and it helps my balance, and I just really enjoy the adrenaline of it, going fast and just absolutely speeding as quick as possible. But obviously speeding and going fast has its downsides. Like I had the accident that changed my life forever. That accident was a real eye-opener. It brought me to God, it brought me to who I am today. That accident really changed me. Skating's changed my life.
He had so many accidents in over a few years. I suppose the one that sticks out in my mind was the one when he went into a parked car head first off a skateboard.
Within the estate of Landock itself, you've got like quite a few hills, and there was this one place called Uplands Crescent, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll give that a go.
First thing I knew, I got a call from Jack saying,
Mum, I've had a bit of an accident, but I'm okay. But could you come and get me?
Then this lady came on the phone and said,
Hi Kim, just to say, Jack's gone headfirst into a car. He's not majorly hurt, but I think it would be best if you came and got him. We're on Uplands Crescent.
So I asked her if she'd phoned the ambulance. She hadn't, so I had to phone 999, answer all these questions. I had no idea what had happened to him, how he was, what state he was in.
I ended up with a gouge out my thumb, and you could actually see the joint, it was so deep. I also had this huge gash out my side as well. It was from mid-waist to my hip, and I had broken my wrist, and I also had whiplash from going into the parked car. It was all pretty nasty, to be honest.
The most worrying thing was that he'd hit his head at quite a speed coming down a big hill straight into a parked car. So the ambulance came quite quickly. They were concerned about his neck more than anything.
Felt something urging me to take a helmet. I don't normally wear helmets, and I took it off him from his persuasion as well. Like, you know, it's just being silly really, and I went down it and I hit about 30 miles per hour.
And he was in shock for quite a long time, and it was only in the ambulance after they sort of treated everything else that they said, is there anything else that's hurting? And he said, my wrist is hurting a little bit. So we had to go to the hospital, wait for a long time, got him checked out completely. Last thing they did, they stitched up his thumb, they put a massive bandage around on his waist and on his hips, and checked his head. His head was okay, luckily.
And I just thought, like, how am I alive?
And then they discovered that he'd broken his wrist, and this was the second or third time he'd broken his wrist from a skating accident.
Coming off, skipping along concrete and going headfirst into a parked car. And I met with a friend a few days later, Natasha Hall, who was a Christian at the time, belongs to Tabernacle Copenhagen. And she was like, well, someone's obviously got their hand on you.
And he also had whiplash on his neck. So I think I was relieved that he was okay. Even though he had all that wrong with him, I was just relieved.
I've realised now that it's God who's got his hand on me. Like, I went to church for like one of the first times, and everything just made sense. Like, it made complete and utter sense to me. Like, how you should treat one another, how you should live your life. Obviously, sometimes you'll have your own common sense from things, because if you don't, obviously something stupid's going to happen. But it just made me realise we're all here for a greater purpose, and you know, people live through things to tell their tale, to make you realise who God is and what He does for us, and just how He keeps us alive and how He keeps us going. And there is a greater purpose for all of us. And people say coincidence upon coincidence, and they're like, oh, that was lucky. I don't believe in luck, and I don't believe in coincidence. I think it's all there for a reason. And, you know, luck is not luck, it's God going, I've given you an opportunity. I've given you an opportunity to do this again. I think after the accident, obviously I couldn't skate for a while with a broken wrist. And I went on holiday. It was like 2 weeks before I went on holiday as well. But after that, I think I realised who God was. It was just a matter of time before I put my feet back on a board. Like, it's not one of those things that you can stop doing once you're hooked on it. You sort of keep doing it anyway, regardless of what's happened. And I think God really helped me coming back to it all as well. It's really just more of my lifestyle and like my passions, and God gives you these passions for a reason. Like, it happened to me in that situation, unfortunately, and obviously it does make me nervous about going back skating and doing hills again. Like, I haven't done hills due to the fact of speed wobbles and bits like that, but I do carry on skating regardless of the accidents that could happen. I'm just a lot more cautious in myself, obviously, and it's just being careful and not doing stupid things as well. But I've got more passion for it, and also it helps me to share who God is within the skating community. Like, I can talk to people about longboarding, I can talk to them about skateboarding and say, yeah, I had this massive accident, and you know what, God actually helped me through it. He's basically kept me going. He's kept me going. He hasn't knocked me down, he's built me up to keep skating. And I can show to these people in this community who God is, and to be able to show that through my life is just what I'm living for. It's just what I want to do. I'm living to share. I'm living to share the gospel of Christ, and that's what I aim to do. And I'm gonna do it through like different means to what people normally do. And I do extreme sports. I go surfing. I go skating. I've had a tattoo done because of God, and it's all, I don't know, it's allowed me to access these places where people haven't really gone to much and talked to people about God, and these guys seem to be the most open about it. They seem to be really spiritual, and I think that's what keeps me going. It keeps me skating day in, day out.
During filming recently, I had another accident, unfortunately, which just, they call it a foosh, which is falling on an outstretched hand, which basically caused the scaphoid to go, which is the bone I did before, and unfortunately it did go again, just during skiing. And I mean, like, I had about a million thoughts going through my head, because the idea was I was meant to actually be going away on an outdoor instructor's course down in Newquay in Cornwall, to do surf instructor's course, to do lifeguards, and to also do my co-steering instructors, and many other things crammed into that course as well. And that was pretty much what I was going to be setting up my future on, but that unfortunately went down the drain due to me going skating again and busting my wrist, and I was really gutted about this. I honestly couldn't get over the fact that I'd done it again, especially after the visit to the hospital, and they just put me in plaster again, and they were like, well, you're going to have to come back in another week, and now we're going to put a light plaster on. So it would have been another 6 weeks in plaster, but the same day after I got the plaster put on, I went into church on the Sunday evening, and the guys prayed for it in church, and some people like had words, one in particular about a pain underneath the right thumb. So I went up for prayer and he prayed for me, and I felt a few things. Movement felt pretty weird inside the cast. I didn't really know what to make of it at first, but it seemed like, oh well, maybe it was just twitching, I was just getting used to the cast sort of thing. But we went back to the hospital the week later then, and they took the cast off, cracked it open. It was the heavy back slab one, so it was like, oh, that felt lovely to get it off sort of thing. And then the guy went, okay, we're just going to do the test, to see how I was feeling. And he went, it's kind of weird, you have no pain there. Because I did all the tests absolutely fine. And so he went, right, we'll put you in for a CT scan. And I thought like CT scans for like your brain and stuff. But they put my wrist in for the CT scan. It was like going through a giant washing machine. But then came out, sat down for another couple of hours while the hand consultant came back and was like, yeah, well, kind of weird, but there's nothing there now. And he didn't really know, he just assumed that they made a mistake. I don't know how they could make that big a mistake, because then they said it was a fresh break the week before and there was nothing there now, and it was completely God, really. He just completely healed my wrist. After hearing that, I had Australia actually bang on my heart. It's been niggling away at me for a while. I've heard some amazing things about like out there, and just being able to find yourself out there as well. And just I know a lot of people have said it's me, like the coffee drinking aspect and the going surfing every day sort of aspect, and that sort of relaxed sort of lifestyle, to go out and just, you know, find God in it all, and to be able to hook up with like Christian surfers over there, to be able to hook up with Hillsong Church, and just to be able to really soak in the presence of God. I'm going over for a year now, straight after the hospital, just went and booked it, paid for the flight straight off, just got it done there and then, and there was no really second thoughts or qualms about it, because I knew it was what God wanted me to do. It's, you know, he puts things in place for us to actually follow. It's like he's set out that path for us to follow, and it all falls into place eventually. And I've made some great contacts over the past couple of weeks, and it's just on the little rundown now. It's only 17 days till I go now, and I mean, like, it's all fallen way too perfectly into place for it not to be God provided. It's just hit, and it's just been all completely and utterly there, just ready. It's like God's just sort of dropped me in it and gone, there you go. It's pretty crazy, and I just can't wait for the next year and the up and coming. You know, just the people I'm going to meet, the new faces I'm going to meet. The more I'm going to be able to share more about God, the more I'm going to be able to find myself. So I find more about God, because that's how you find more about yourself. And just to be able to go surf every day, go drink coffee. I'm out on a working visa, so I'm going to be working, and hopefully in the workplace I can show God to people as well, and just through that aspect. And, you know, I mean, who knows what might happen. I could end up staying out there for another year. I might come back. I honestly don't know. I'm just going to leave it straight all up to God, because it's his plan and not mine. And really, the accident had the best outcome I could have asked for. I couldn't be happier right now.